But we want to bring you back now to here in South Florida and Jim DeFede. Jim, let's kind of dissect this for a little bit, right? We understand the strike occurred overnight. The president has called it successful, also saying that Maduro faces indictment here in the United States. In fact, the Attorney General also talking about that indictment and what's to come. But I want to get to Secretary Marco Rubio. He has made his first comments since the strike on social media, and all he did was repost something that he said last year and something that he has maintained for many years now, saying Maduro is not the president of Venezuela and his regime is not the legitimate government. Do you think this strike would have happened if Rubio was not in his position?
I actually don't. I think that Marco Rubio has been playing a key role in guiding the president to focus on Venezuela. There's some really good reporting over the past couple of weeks in the New York Times, for instance, that talked about how Marco Rubio and Stephen Miller find common ground on Venezuela. Stephen Miller wanting to focus on finding ways to deport Venezuelans out of the U.S. and so using the Alien Enemies Act required essentially for the United States to declare Venezuela an enemy country. That Marco Rubio dovetailed with very nicely in talking about how they needed to really target Venezuela and go after Maduro, and kept guiding the president on this path that we've seen now. Marco Rubio has always been a hawk on this. And the reality is that I think this is part of a larger strategy that President Trump is hoping will play out, and that Marco Rubio has discussed in the past, which is if you take out Nicolas Maduro, if you undermine Venezuela, then you are also hurting the regime in Cuba, because Venezuela, with their oil supplies, tend to support and help prop up the Cuban government, which is desperate for that petroleum, for that oil product that comes out of Venezuela. If you are able to cut that supply off, that would also serve the purpose of weakening the Cuban government. And I think that is sort of the bank shot here. I would also note just real quickly on the optics of how this looked to be able to snatch and grab Maduro. It's been well known and well reported that Nicolas Maduro's inner security, the people responsible for keeping Maduro safe in Venezuela, are Cuban agents, or security officials from Cuba who Maduro surrounded himself with to protect him. So there's a bit of irony there.
Jim, let me just stop you on something that you just said, and I want to get some more information on that, because we've heard so much about the drugs. This was all about bringing drugs in the U.S., but maybe that's the headline. Is the backstory really oil here?
Look, it is impossible to deny that Venezuela sits on the largest reserve of oil in the world, more than in Saudi Arabia, more than any other country in the Middle East. Venezuela is sitting on a vast amount of oil. It is hard to imagine that Marco Rubio could have focused Donald Trump on Venezuela if they didn't have oil. And so now the question becomes, by removing Maduro, what follows now in that country? And that is really, truly the mystifying question at this point, because if the defense minister is still there, if the vice president, Delcy Rodriguez, is on TV urging people to come out, it doesn't seem as if the Venezuelan regime itself has entirely collapsed. Now, I'm assuming that the theory here is cut the head off the snake and the snake will die. That's still to be seen. But there has always been an interest in the U.S. going in and getting control of that oil. I would say that Maria Elvira Salazar, as recently, the congresswoman, was just recently, just in the last couple of weeks, talking about how what really needs to happen in Venezuela is for U.S. oil companies to be able to go in there, take control of the oil supplies, and make sure that the United States has a current flow and a thorough flow of oil into this country. So yes, drugs is the pretext, but oil, I think, is the underlying reason.
All right, Jim, thank you so much for the insight.